With Dead Island 2 being a modern game releasing in 2023, of course there's going to be some hidden secrets, Easter eggs or hidden details, whatever you want to call them, and in this video we're going to be going over the best hidden secrets within Dead Island 2, things that you didn't know about, some cool Easter eggs within the game, and generally, yeah, just some details, maybe some small features that you didn't know existed within the world of Dead Island 2. And we'll be covering all of the best ones within this video, so you'll be sure not to miss them throughout your playthroughs. So let's get into this video, the best secrets within Dead Island 2. So first of all, we're actually going to talk about some references to outside parts of the world that are actually part of Dead Island 2, and one of these is actually streamer awards. So there are actually streamer awards in Dead Island 2 as an Easter egg, and Dead Island 2 actually features numerous references to content creators and online streamers, and an obvious one is the awards in the content creator house. From the YouTuber Streamy Awards to the recent Streamer Awards, there are a few ways that online creators can of course gain more recognition, and Dead Island 2 has jumped at something so prevalent in pop culture at the moment. On screen now, you're seeing the image of the two awards that are part of Dead Island 2. You can find these within the content creator house. Also within the content creator house is actually an Easter egg to Nick Merckx. Now, it is actually unclear why this streamer has been referenced in the game, but either way, Nick Merckx is actually part of the game. So yeah, also within that content creator house, there is a massive room with a massive PC setup. On the wall and the screensavers are actually a reference to the Nick Merckx logo. And yeah, it really is unclear why this has been put into the game as a secret, but either way, it is there, and there are, yeah, a couple content creator references within the game, as you can see there. Also on the ideas of content creation, there's actually a Easter egg regarding YouTube. Whether you just play video games or make other video content, YouTube does have some very, very clear guidelines, and one of those is a profanity rule. This is basically where if you swear early on within a video, then there's a good chance that that video will be demonetized, and there is actually a reference to this in one of the Dead Island 2 missions, where there is dialogue, which you can see on screen now, where it says, "No swearing in the first minute, I'm already on 2 strikes," which is obviously, yeah, a reference to YouTube there. So now we're on to the final sort of content related Easter egg within Dead Island 2, and that is actually an influencer apology Dead Island 2 Easter egg. So of course we all know that many influencers have seen their reputation tank for numerous reasons, from hate speech to, well, maybe even committing a crime. But one thing that remains amusing in all of it is the apology, and you know, those videos do tend to go viral, and Dead Island 2 has actually featured this within the game. On screen now you're seeing an image where you can actually see an apology script for an apology video for an influencer within Dead Island 2. There is also an Easter egg regarding some of Deep Silver's previous games. Now there are actually 3 arcade machines that you can find within Dead Island 2, all lined up next to each other, and these arcade machines are labelled as games that Deep Silver has previously published, those being Time Splitters, Homefront Revolution on the machines. You can see those, pretty cool reference there just to some of Deep Silver's previous games. You can see those on the arcade machines, and yeah, just a pretty cool Easter egg there. So let's move on to the next one, which is regarding The Shining. So we all know Stephen King, and of course we all know the genre horror, and those two tend to mix together quite a lot. And to be honest, it's no surprise that this is featured as an Easter egg within Dead Island 2. The Easter egg is The Shining, with murder spelt backwards. This is actually a very highly missable Easter egg because it's on a door you won't notice unless you really get close to it. You'll come across this during the beach offensive mission at the military base, and many players actually opt to restore power and open the door as soon as possible, so you may miss it when it happens, but either way, you can see it there. You can see the word murder spelled backwards. Pretty cool, and yeah, just you know, Easter egg regarding horror, and of course Stephen King with The Shining. Classic war film that a lot of people know is Saving Private Ryan, and in Dead Island 2 there is a quick reference to this. This occurs during the boss makes a bang at the movie studios in a line by the main character, "Another Medal of Honor for Private Ryan." This line might only occur with Ryan as your slayer, though this isn't really known yet, but either way, this is a pretty cool Easter egg there, and yeah, just references a classic war film called Saving Private Ryan, where yeah, you are able to see some pretty cool dialogue regarding that. So now we're on to the next secret or Easter egg, whatever you want to call it, and this is regarding an original Dead Island character. Now it's always nice to throw back to the previous game, more so seeing that Dead Island 2 obviously took 12 years really to release. At Emma's place in Dead Island 2, Samby will bring up characters from the first game. If you walk by him a few times to trigger conversations, he'll talk about characters like Jan May and Logan from the original Dead Island game. Now I have actually done a video going over the entire Dead Island 1 story, where of course we mention those characters. I think that video will be linked at the end of this video and in the description as well if you're interested in, you know, seeing the entire Dead Island 1 story. Maybe you haven't played the game for a long time, or maybe you've never played it. It's definitely a video worth watching to, yeah, to be able to understand the entire story and how it all works, and then you'd really be able to understand this Easter egg if you don't already, referencing those older characters from, of course, the older game. I personally always find it pretty cool being able to see and, you know, hear about some of the older characters, for example, from Red Dead Redemption games or GTA games, being able to hear about characters that's obviously you haven't seen for a while and haven't played as for a while for a very, very long time, and being able to, you know, have those talks about again is really cool. So I think it's pretty cool that we're able to see that there and see the two, you know, the real crossover between the two games. So let's move on to the next hidden secrets, which is regarding Sam B's song. Now, this was a classic bit of dialogue and a classic line from the original Dead Island game, so it really had to be brought up within Dead Island 2, and well, it is brought up within Dead Island 2 during a conversation in the mansion. You can check this out for yourself in the mansion, and yeah, pretty cool conversation. And once again, if you played the first Dead Island 1 game, then you're really going to understand that. It's a very iconic line from the first one regarding Sam B, and yeah, it is mentioned within the second game as well. So let's move on to the next Easter egg, which is regarding a talking zombie. Now, talking zombies aren't new to Dead Island. In the first game, the suiciders actually spoke, begging you for help when you did encounter them. Now, it's actually the bursters' turn within Dead Island 2. Now, you encounter several of these types of zombies throughout the game. All you need to do is, well, listen in. There actually is a pretty creepy encounter regarding this during the Creature Comfort side quest in Dead Island 2. And yeah, this really isn't new to the Dead Island series. Talking zombies have been around since the beginning, so if you played the original games, then of course you would, you know, this wouldn't be new to you. But it is still pretty cool and pretty creepy as well. Pretty cool horror aspect of the game. So yeah, talking zombies are still within the game, but of course this is in the form of bursters and not in the form of suiciders from Dead Island 1. So now let's move on. Now, we've all heard the tale of the sword in the stone and Excalibur, and of course the myth is that the heir of Arthur, who wields the magical strength to lift the sword from the stone, will become the king of the Britons. And well, it turns out that that myth has made its way to LA in Dead Island 2. If you head over to the entrance to the main pier on the Santa Monica Pier map, directly opposite the stores and near the stairs and disability ramps, then you can find some stone ornaments. At this very entrance is a stone dragon, with the claymore that you can pick up stuck in its head. You can also keep the weapon as well if you choose to pick it, which is pretty cool as well. So pretty cool detail there regarding, of course, a classic bit of history. So yeah, pretty cool there that there is, of course, that type of crossover from history to actually making it into LA in Dead Island 2. Now, there is actually an Easter egg regarding Sam the dog. So if you happen to explore the garden area of Emma Jaunt's home in Bel Air, you will come across the grave of Emma Jaunt's dog, Sam. It turns out that the dog's name is rather coincidental, and as we learn, Sam B and Emma had a thing going on way before the outbreak of Benoit and LA. So it does actually seem like Emma named the dog after Sam B. Pretty cool Easter egg there. So there we go, that does just about wrap up things here. Those were loads of the best Easter eggs and secrets that you can find within Dead Island 2, from speaking zombies to references to horror movies within the game. Some pretty cool stuff there in my opinion. I really like the references to the older Dead Island games, and of course the references to sort of, you know, the outside world references to movies and everything like that is really, really cool in my opinion. And yeah, that does just about wrap up things here. Now, like I mentioned earlier, on screen now you are seeing a link to a video where I go over the entire Dead Island 1 story. So be sure to click the link on the screen if you are interested in watching that.